So it's the end of 2025, and we've officially been open 1 quarter or 3 months. And that quarter was the holiday season. And so I figured it was a good opportunity to kind of share with you guys some of the lessons learned from our very first holiday season in business as an indie bookstore. One of the first lessons I learned was that inventory, you almost can't have enough. At least where we're at, in the Williamsburg area, it was very busy. We were placing a book inventory order every week, and that inventory ranged anywhere from 80 to 400 books, depending on how the previous week went. And we only have 1,160 square feet. But I guess the moral of the story is no matter where you're getting your book inventory from, whether it be from Ingram or from publishers directly or indie authors, you're going to need a lot more than you may anticipate, particularly in December. And so we did experience some up and down lulls between Halloween and Thanksgiving. It was busier closer to Thanksgiving. And then right after Thanksgiving, it got quiet for about a week, and then it started to pick back up for us. And so holiday weekends, holiday weeks were very busy, and December was just full on the entire month. What I underestimated about December was that the week preceding, the week of, and the week after Christmas, the impact that shipping would have on our business. We weren't necessarily shipping a lot of books out of the shop. It was receiving our book inventory from Ingram that was the issue. Basically, they were delayed for those 3 weeks, and that's fine, but it mostly impacted us the week after Christmas leading up to New Year's. And that week, we didn't receive a shipment. Now, we were open. We could have received our books, but Ingram didn't, or UPS didn't deliver them until the following week. So in hindsight, I wish I had doubled up my order leading into the Christmas week, so that I would have received double the order the week before Christmas week and had a surplus of books to hold us over through that week after Christmas. Now, the good news is I had plenty, and it was only a few days delay. We're talking 1 week, but I could see and feel that our inventory was lower than I usually like it to be during the busiest time of the year. I mean, who knows? We may have missed out on some opportunities that I just am unaware of. So that was the first real lesson. The second lesson is that this area is a tourist area, and there were a lot of people that were visiting, but they weren't tourists. They were just visiting family for the holidays. And so a lot of our regulars brought in their families, and that was super cool because I got to meet people that mean something to our regulars, and I got to meet some really nice people. And these are people that have already, they're in on us. They like us. They want to shop with us. And it was nice to have them bring in their family members. You become a destination place, a good visiting spot. I mean, who doesn't want to visit a bookshop, right? So there was quite a bit of that. Although we did have a slower tourism season than what we have at other times of the year, Williamsburg is still a tourism destination for the holiday. A lot of people were driving down from Maryland or from Pennsylvania or New York just to spend the week or the weekend or just a few days out of their town in Williamsburg at timeshares or hotels. And so we did have a lot of tourism traffic. And I didn't know, if us being a tourist town, if we'd really be a Christmas or holiday tourism attraction. And turns out we are. So that increased the demand on our inventory as well. So the third lesson was to go into the holiday season with plenty of financial stability. We had money in savings, we had money in checking, we had a full register, we had the whole deal going, because you do have a high turnover of stock, you do have a high turnover of sidelines, you do have a lot of fund flows happening in and out of the business. Because we use Shopify as our point of sale system, the deposit into your bank account from the point of sale system is roughly a week, right? Time delay from the time the purchase is made until the time the money hits the account. And then the funds out related to our inventory costs or whatever, they're fairly immediate. So you want to make sure you have enough money to be able to spontaneously reimburse your inventory without worrying about putting yourself in the negative. Now, as of this filming in January of 2026, the very first week of January, Ingram is getting ready to change their policy on credit cards and debit cards and fees and all that. So just take that into account if you're watching this video after March 2026. Okay, so have the money in the bank to be able to have some flexibility in your inventory. Expect some maybe unusual traffic outside of just the holiday rush from your locals. Keep your inventory stacked earlier. Front load the inventory as much as possible. And I think another thing to consider is that you need to be healthy about what you're doing with your business during the holidays, your hours, your dedication to policies like loyalty programs or discounts or sales that you're running for the holiday or certain types of items that you want to bring into your shop for the holiday season. You need to be really strategic and intentional about all those things. I'll talk about hours for a moment. So we only took Christmas Eve and Christmas Day off. We were open every other day of the Christmas holiday. We only took Thanksgiving off. And then we only took New Year's Day off. So we worked New Year's Eve. And I was good about putting our posts up each day or earlier in the week about what our hours were going to be during the holiday week, because I never really paid attention to this before, for better or for worse. There's a lot of businesses that do different things. And so I looked at the businesses in our shopping center and what their patterns were and what they were doing. And then I looked at some of the other bookshops in our town and wanted to see what they were doing. Not necessarily from like a competition standpoint, but just to see what the norm was. What do people expect? And this is our first brick and mortar. So we really didn't know what our customers' expectation would be. Of course, we still had people that were like, hey man, oh, you're closed on New Year's Day? That's a bummer. I'm like, well, it's New Year's Day, man. I need a day off too, but it just so happens to fall not on our normally closed day, which is my second point. I still closed on my normally closed days. So I close on Mondays, and I kept that rhythm going. I didn't stay open on a Monday because we were going to close on Wednesday. I stayed closed on Monday, and then I closed on the holiday. Some people may disagree with that approach. Some people may agree with it, but it was just kind of my way of making sure that I was taking care of my family and myself. And the books aren't going anywhere. They'll be here. The customers will come a day later. It's cool. I mean, there's going to be some people that really wanted to come see you on that Monday before Christmas, but we're closed on Mondays, and we're going to be closed on Monday. So I was able to kind of breathe a little bit. This year, Christmas Eve was a Wednesday. Christmas was a Thursday. I close on Mondays. That Monday was the only day of the week I was able to prepare for the Christmas week, right? For time with my kids and the last minute shopping with my wife to go get all of our groceries and to do all of the things. So you need to make sure that you're kind of guarding that time. It's going to be used. It's going to be valuable, and you're going to need it. So just don't worry about that. Just keep your time to yourself, and everyone will adapt. It's not like you took a week off. It's your normal day. So financially, how we did this first quarter, we opened September 27th. So essentially, we opened at the very, very end of the third fiscal quarter of the year. And we had one quarter of business, and it was all holiday, right? So it could be deceiving. I know enough through years of being self-employed, having other businesses, even though they weren't brick and mortar, contracting, online, customer services, that kind of thing, that it is imperative that you understand and learn the ebb and flow, the seasonal ebb and flow of your industry and of your business. And Christmas time, Thanksgiving, Halloween for a store that has a lot of horror, these are peak points of the year. I know that I'm going to do or should expect to do better business in this last quarter of the year than I do in other quarters of the year. That's a reasonable expectation. Now, I've not experienced those other quarters yet, so I don't necessarily know how they will pay out. But I do know that this is my presumably strongest quarter of the year, and we did very well. We exceeded my expectations, and you kind of need that because you need that extra money in the bank to carry you through the slower seasons of the year. Remember, in business, it's not about this quarter. It's about the entire year, and this quarter might be funding an additional quarter later. My expectations were exceeded, which is great, but my plan remains in place, and that is to expect a slower first quarter of 2026, expect a slower second quarter in 2026, and use some of the profits that we earned during the holiday season to sustain us across those 2 quarters before the weather really starts to warm up here and the tourism starts to kick in Williamsburg. Now, I'm telling you all of this because I've had tons of people ask me, how are you doing? How's the shop? Is everything working out like you wanted it to? Are things going as well as you expected? And for every question, the answer's been, yeah, it's been great. But really what people are asking is, are you making enough money to stay in business? They don't want to lose you. They like you being in business. They want you to be happy and to stick around. And so a lot of it is just them making sure that you're okay, which is, we're okay. We're going to do fine. But let's just put it this way. I've exceeded my needed profit, right? What I needed to make to sustain the business. We were able to afford all of our sidelines and inventory and stock and everything and replenish before the new year kicked off. We were able to do all the things. We've been able to make some minor improvements into the shop since we opened. Check this out. We're building this whole counter back here. Yeah. Pops is diligently working to install that counter right now. And then we're going to have a fireplace mantle on top with a television, and we're going to make it real cheesy and fun. But the moral of the story is we've been planning that since the summer, since before we opened, and we're now getting to it, and that's fine. You don't have to be rushing to make everything perfect right out the gate. We're using some of this downtime in the first quarter to make some of these improvements and during the end of the holiday season. And we've exceeded what we thought we might do. And we're excited. Hopefully that means that we're going to do really well in 2026 as a new bookstore here in Williamsburg. And we've kind of built this entire business on being the seller of choice, the place you want to come, the people you want to interact with, have the best customer service. I'll never be able to carry the expansive inventory that a big bookstore like Barnes & Noble can. I'll never be able to maintain a full staff like that or have, be open 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and it be me. It's just not possible. So where can I succeed? I can succeed in being us, right? Being helpful, being kind, being supportive, being smart about the industry, helping other writers, helping other readers find great indie writers, helping indie presses, doing it with quality at the center of our focus, and bringing people an experience they're just not going to get at larger box stores. Bookshop.org's been picking up. Libro.fm has been picking up. We use those partners to sell ebooks and audiobooks, and in the case of Bookshop.org, maybe some books that we just don't have in inventory that our customers want. So for financials, the opening week was great. The end of September through the first half of October was outstanding. That was basically our opening run. We had tons of community support. It was outstanding. Things slowed down a little bit after I got back from Horror Reader Weekend in New York, which was expected, and then picked back up again around Thanksgiving. We finished a strong November, but there were some down weeks in November compared to, I guess you could say, our lowest weeks of the quarter. And then once December arrived, it was gangbusters all the way to the end of the month. The first week of January has been great so far, but we know that people are going back to work starting Monday, January 5th. So I'll report back about first quarter performance once that's done. But all in all, I'm extremely happy with how things went. I'm extremely happy with the way the community has responded to us being here. I'm still figuring out how to balance life a little bit. I'm still figuring out how to get the shop exactly the way I want it. We're still looking at whether we want to hire anyone or not. Eventually it's going to have to happen. I'm going to need someone else to help me. I'm here 6 days a week right now, but it's been amazing. So there's a few things that didn't happen that I'm extremely grateful for. We didn't have a ton of inclement weather here in Williamsburg, so we didn't have to shut the store down a lot. I think we were only impacted by snow 1 or 2 days out of the entire season, and I came and opened. It just kept some people at home. So that was cool. And we didn't get sick, which freaking knock on wood, man. Let me go ahead and do that. I went through the entire holiday season without getting the flu or getting COVID or getting like some nasty gastro or upper respiratory or anything like that. And that is a freaking godsend because you're interacting with the public all day, every day. And I know it builds immunity and all that stuff, but it doesn't make you bulletproof, man. And I was sure that I was going to end up getting sick and it was going to impact how I was going to be able to run the shop for a couple of days during the holiday, and it didn't happen. So, man, I feel like I dodged a bullet on that one. If you've followed us here on YouTube, thank you so much. If you've followed us here in the community, if you've come and shopped at the store, thank you so much. If you've bought anything from our online store, which we have our entire bookstore inventory online, I appreciate that. If you're new here, you haven't subscribed, you haven't liked this or any of that stuff, we'd love it if you would consider doing that. My name's Lucas. I'm the owner of Spineless Reads, an indie bookshop in Williamsburg, Virginia, and I'm so excited to be able to do this with you guys. And we're going to have a ton of great content coming out in 2026 here on the channel, including some writer workshop type content, some book reviews, some more updates about how running a bookshop is going, and all the fun book stuff. So if there's anything you guys want to see, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you want me to make videos about. I'd love to help you guys out. I'm a writer, a publisher, and a bookseller, and I love what I do for a living. And I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.